Did you know that adding a new driver to your auto insurance can save you a fortune on premiums or cost you big if done incorrectly? Stay tuned because we're diving deep into everything you need to know to navigate this process seamlessly, right here in this explainer.
All right, how to add a new driver to your auto policy. Modifying your insurance. I know it kind of feels like stepping into a giant administrative maze, but honestly, it's absolutely crucial for protecting your financial well-being. So today, we're going to break down exactly how to do this without the massive headache.
Here is our roadmap for today. We're looking at auto insurance basics, gathering necessary driver details, who are you adding, contacting your provider, finalizing and finding discounts, and then a quick recap and important disclaimer.
Okay, Section 1, Auto Insurance Basics. Let's just build a quick foundation here on why keeping your policy perfectly updated actually matters.
So the big thing to grasp here is the difference between a named driver and something called permissive use. Basically, insurance companies have a strict rule. You literally have to officially list anyone of driving age who lives under your roof or anyone who regularly drives your car. Now, if a buddy just borrows your car to, say, move a couch, less than a dozen times a year, they fall under permissive use. They don't need to be officially listed. But if your teenager gets their license or a new roommate moves in and starts sharing the keys, no way around it. They absolutely must be named on the policy. If you skip this, you could be looking at denied claims or even having your policy completely canceled for misrepresentation, and nobody wants that.
Moving on to Section 2, Gathering Necessary Driver Details. Because preparation is key, right?
Before you even think about picking up the phone or opening your app, you've got to have your details straight. Insurers are going to ask for their full legal name, date of birth, driver's license number and state, and their social security number. They need this to pull a motor vehicle record and, in a lot of states, run a credit-based insurance score. You also need a completely honest rundown of their driving history, accidents, violations, the whole shebang over the last 3 to 5 years. Oh, and if they're bringing a car with them, grab that 17-character VIN. Trust me, getting all this together beforehand is a real game changer for your stress levels.
Just a quick heads up though, if the person you're adding has a history of high-risk violations, we're talking DUIs or reckless driving, you might need some special paperwork, like an SR22 certificate. In situations like that, or if they have an out-of-state license, you'll probably just want to skip the online portal and actually call an agent to get it all sorted out properly.
All right, Section 3, who are you adding? Because who you add, well, it drastically dictates what happens to your wallet.
Actuarial data assigns very specific risk profiles to different households, and that leads to some pretty wild cost variations. For instance, a single adult with full comprehensive coverage might pay somewhere around $186 a month. A married couple? They sit at about $365. But the moment you add a teen driver to that mix, the quote spikes to an average of $574. This is exactly why you need to compare rates and really evaluate if that new driver actually needs comprehensive coverage or if standard liability will do the trick.
It's not all bad news, though. Let's talk about that married couple for a second. Actuarial data consistently shows that married couples present a much lower risk profile than single individuals. Because insurers perceive that stability, getting married and combining your auto policies actually leads to an average premium reduction of $194 a year. Pretty nice, right? On the flip side, we have to talk about teenagers. If you try to set up a newly licensed teen with their own standalone policy, you are looking at an eye-watering average of $2,267 per year. Yikes! Compare that to adding them to a parent's policy, which only averages an increase of about $621 annually. So yeah, teens are expensive for sure, but adding them to your existing plan is vastly more affordable than having them go it alone. Welcome to what the insurance industry playfully calls the teen tax. Basically, adding a teen driver bumps up the cost of their parents' insurance by an average of 90%. And the reason is super simple. Teens just don't have the driving experience, so their crash rates are higher. In fact, 16 to 19-year-olds are nearly 3 times more likely to be in a fatal crash than drivers 20 and older. So while it's a costly addition, it's absolutely legally necessary.
Okay, Section 4, Contacting your provider. We've got our basics, our documents, we know the costs. How do we actually pull the trigger here?
The whole process is wonderfully linear. For most major carriers, if you have a clean driving record and a fairly straightforward addition, step 1 is literally just logging into your online portal or mobile app. Step 2, you punch in all those details we gathered earlier. Step 3, the system gives you your new premium quote. Now, this is the exact moment to evaluate your benefits and maybe ask an agent if adjusting your liability limits makes sense. Finally, step 4, if it all looks good, you just hit approve. Easy.
Of course, if your situation is a bit complex, like that roommate with a spotty record we mentioned, you'll definitely want to call an agent directly instead of using the app. I actually love this quote from our sources because it really highlights how far technology has come in the insurance space. It says, the system recalculates the premium in real time, provides a binding quote, and issues updated digital ID cards within minutes. You can literally get the whole process done in about 30 minutes from start to finish. Incredible. Which brings us to Section 5, finalizing and finding discounts. Before you hit that final approve button, we enter the most crucial phase. You want to aggressively hunt for these discounts to offset those premium hikes. Does your teen have a B average or a 3.0 GPA? Bam, that's a good student discount, often saving you 10 to 25%. Did they take an approved defensive driving course? There's another 5 to 15% off. You should also look into bundling your home and auto policies, or maybe using telematics. Those are the little devices that track your safe driving habits. Hey, even if your college student is living more than 100 miles away without a car, that alone can net you some really significant savings.
Once you've applied all those discounts and finally clicked approve, I have some great news. Temporary binding coverage begins immediately. That means the absolute second you submit that addition, your new driver is legally covered to get behind the wheel of your car. To put that into a timeline, you get your immediate temporary coverage on day 1. Behind the scenes, the insurance company's underwriting team will do a final review of the motor vehicle records, which usually takes about 24 to 48 hours. Once everything clears, your official revised declarations page and permanent proof of insurance cards will be issued and ready for you to download.
Almost done. Section 6, recap and important disclaimer. We've covered a lot of ground today, so let's tie it all together.
Here are your main takeaways. Always list licensed drivers living in your household to avoid a denied claim. Number 2, do your homework and gather your SSNs, VINs, and driving histories before you contact your provider. Third, expect your rates to shift. They'll go down for a spouse and sharply up for a teenager. And finally, never accept the first premium quote without aggressively asking for every single discount you might qualify for.
And of course, here is a quick professional reminder. Insurance regulations and state laws vary widely across the country. This explainer is a comprehensive guide based on industry standards, but you must always consult directly with your own insurance provider or agent for details that are specific to your policies and your local laws. At the end of the day, they are the final authority on your coverage.
Which leaves me with one final thought for you to ponder today. We've talked a whole lot about adding new drivers, but based on everything you just learned, are you currently missing out on massive discounts for the drivers already sharing your roof? It just might be time to pull up your policy and double check. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and happy learning.